Welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to go all in and connects them with professionals that can help them do it. Today's guest is Verity Yata, and she is going to tell us her story about what she learned about photography.
Awesome. So, obviously, I'm a photographer. But what I do is, you know how when you walk into a home and it feels like there's no pictures around and it feels kind of cold and uninviting, like a staged home?
Yeah.
Well, what I do is I take photos, and then my goal is to create wall art for people to have on their walls, to be reminded of either their babies or their loving families, like the connection between their families, stuff like that. So I think a picture is worth 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
So having those pictures on the walls, my goal is to create a sense of tight knit in the family,
Okay.
and create a warmth in the home. So.
Wow. Okay. So, when did you get into doing photography?
About 5 to 6 years ago.
Okay.
I started it as a hobby, so I just wanted to take nice pictures of my own kids one day, which I haven't had kids yet. So I just practice and perfect my craft with other people's kids and families and things like that. And I love taking pictures, and because I started investing more and more into the equipment for the business, it became a business. And then, more people were like, oh, I love your work. Can you take pictures of my family or my baby? Things like that. So it just kind of morphed into that.
Yeah, so it was a hobby that you just enjoyed so much, you kind of turned it into your business.
Yeah.
And so where did it all begin?
Where did it begin? It began with a camera, obviously. And it like from the very beginning, I did want to take newborn pictures, so I would just ask, different people like, "Hey, can I take pictures of your baby?" And try to emulate what I saw on Pinterest and Google and things like that I really loved. And then I started going into like, oh, let me take pictures of families. Like, I really love families. I love like showing that connection and doing like these candid shots of people with their kids and things like that. The shots like aren't the normal posed shots.
Yeah.
Get stuff like that, and that's kind of where it morphed into, is like children, families, and then I do pretty much everything. So if it's a portrait of a person, I will take it.
Yeah.
I've done weddings and quinceañeras and senior pictures and
Wow.
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, corporate shots.
Yeah, so I see that's how you got started. And what was your why? Like, why did you want to start doing photography? What made you, like, why did you get into it? Was there a reason? Was there something that pushed you to get there?
It's more to take pictures of my own kids one day, but it was also because like my nature in general is just being like very caring and very nurturing, and like we were talking earlier, I see the beauty in people, and so I like to show people like, hey, you have like really cool features, or this side of your face looks really interesting, or when you're like relaxed, that's when you look your best. And so I try to get people as relaxed as they can be around me, and I think that comes from being authentic myself, and getting those shots that I see as being beautiful in all different people, all different sizes, colors, histories, backgrounds, cultures of people. Like that's the fun part for me.
Yeah.
Like when you see a picture of yourself and you go, oh wow, that's me.
That's what you're striving to get.
That's what I'm trying to get.
That's awesome. I love it. So you've become an expert at photography. Tell us about what it is and why it's so important to you. I know you said because you want to take pictures of your children one day and you like to show people their beauty that you see, but what else makes it so important to you?
It's a memory. So it's like a picture is a snapshot in time that you'll always remember. So you may, as you get older in life, you'll start to have more experiences and things like that. But if you don't have pictures to remember things by, those memories kind of fade. And once you see the picture, you see like all the details and people's faces and expressions and landscapes and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, we live in the Atlanta area, so as it's growing, these landscapes are constantly changing.
Yeah.
So when I take a picture of somebody like in front of their house or in front of like a big background scene of mountains and stuff like that, a lot of times, those mountains get built up and, the landscapes change, the trees get knocked down and there's buildings there. And it's great to remember things by. So, especially if you look at like old Atlanta photographs.
Yeah.
What it used to look like.
Compared to now, especially even here in Ackworth. I don't know if you're familiar with this area or not, but I grew up here in Ackworth, and it is a completely different town than it was when I was growing up here.
It has. I went to school here 12, 13 years ago in Marietta, and this whole area has grown up so
Completely
much.
different. Like the Ackworth Bridge, I'm like, where'd this come from?
Right?
So it does
The
change.
minute it's built, you're like, wow, this is going to change the landscape forever.
Yeah,
It's
forever.
never going to be
Never
the
going
same
to look the
again.
same.
Yeah.
And then they had so many different vehicles getting hit on the tracks there. So they ended up closing the main railroad track that goes into the neighborhood my brother lives in that I grew up in. And so it's just completely different in Ackworth, but it's beautiful. So yes, pictures are great to hold on to those old memories before the change.
Yeah.
So what impact did this skill have on life and business whenever it was getting up and going?
Well, it impacted my life in several different ways. It allowed me to access like the creative side of my brain. So I've always been creative and logical, right brain and left brain. I was a mechanical engineer before I started the photography business.
Wow.
So it's just completely different.
Yeah.
And this allows me to not only be creative, but also use that engineering brain to understand like how the camera works and where to put lighting and how to design different sets and how to make things just different.
Yeah.
You can engineer all kinds of different ways with photography. So it's allowed me to use both sides of that, and I like that. And then, having full control over the business and where I want it to go and how I want it to be is kind of fun.
That's awesome. So a mechanical engineer. Tell me a little bit about that. What did you do? I'm curious.
We're going to go into that.
I'm just curious. You can just do it briefly.
Sure. I have 12 years of experience as a mechanical engineer in 5 different industries.
Wow.
I've worked in the contracting industry, I'm trying to go in order, but memory is hard when you're on camera. So contracting and then custom integration. So designing machines from scratch. So say you needed like this water bottle extruded. You could design a machine that does that.
Wow.
Things like that. And then from there I went on to a compressor company where I designed pressure vessels. So for large industries that did chillers, which chillers are basically like air conditioners for very, very large buildings like malls.
Yeah.
And they have compressors like receivers and condensers on them, and I designed those. And then I went on from there to work for a package pump industry where we built systems with motors and pumps on them for the fire suppression systems.
Wow.
So for, again, malls and things like that,
Yeah.
you have to have pumps to pump the water to each individual sprinkler in case the whole mall sets on fire, right?
Right, exactly.
So I used to design those, and then from there I went into the conveyor belting industry.
That's awesome. So you had to be a pretty big perfectionist in that industry, which made you going into photography very easy so you can perfect all the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit about your business. And so say you've taken all the beautiful pictures in the world and you've done everything you need to do. Say you hired a photographer and you had some free time. What would you want to do in your free time?
What would I do in my free time? If I could retire, that'd be amazing. I'd love to travel.
Okay.
So I'd probably still be taking pictures while I'm traveling. So my hobbies on the side are like motorcycles and mountain bikes and jiu-jitsu. So I'd probably be doing a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
So a little out there, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Still
And
taking pictures.
Still taking pictures. So even if you weren't in photography at all, you'd still want to be taking pictures.
They say like photographers in general are people who don't have a great memory. because we can't remember like faces and things like that. And so we like to capture that so we have that memory.
So you remember it.
So I will always be taking pictures.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay, so now tell our audience how we can find you and how we can help you. So what's a good referral for you, a good referral partner, and then how can we contact you? Of course, we have your...
So my website is here. So it's
Hang on one second. You can talk about it.
Go ahead.
It's www.yataphotography.com. So YATA, but pronounced like yada yada yada. To make it easier than my first name, which is Verity. And I specialize in newborns, but I also do like maternity and seniors and portraits of all kinds, weddings, things like that.
Okay.
Even corporate shots and families and things like that. So anyone who needs a photo shoot or wants to create this wall art for them to have their families
Hold
on
it there
the
for a
wall.
minute.
Yeah, that's me.
And you
my
can see
dog.
it on the camera right now. So there you have her phone number, her email. It looks like you can contact her at info@yataphotography.com or give her a call at 678-634-6039.
Yes, I'm also on TikTok, Yata Photography, and Instagram, again, Yata Photography, and Facebook, Yata Photography. It makes it really easy. There are
Awesome.
no dots, no spaces, nothing.
Right. Okay. So tell us what Burning the Ship has done for you and why our audience should do it also.
Burning the Ship has just given me a different platform to market the business and to network and get to know people. And, I would like to help other people as well.
Okay.
So, if you need a photography session or you're interested in photography, stuff like that, I'm, always available to talk to and, open up like just different skills that I have that I could share with people.
Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today, Verity. I really enjoyed it. Do you want to show some of your portraits off that you have before we get off of here?
Sure. So some examples of some wall art.
Yes.
It's always fun, right? Because I think showing is better than
Oh,
telling.
and that's so beautiful.
So this is one of my favorites. It's just a little girl in a heart bowl. So that little heart bowl is one of my favorites. But it's one of those like you want to put up in like a nursery or something like
Yeah.
that. And I also do albums. So albums are a great way to
Oh.
have all of your pictures from your session in one book, and you can.
And what is the pricing for your albums usually?
It depends on what type of album and what size they go with. So,
Okay.
Yeah, it varies.
Oh, that one is so cute. With her little cucumber eyes on. Do you see that? Oh, I love it.
Little spa baby pictures, and then little heart bowls. And
That
things
is
like
beautiful.
that. And then I have this gigantic canvas, which is always fun, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
I'm always encouraging people to print big.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we have more space than we think we have.
Yeah.
And then a big impact piece is like one of those things that people walk into your home and they go, oh, wow.
Yeah, it like pops out at people more. That's awesome. I love that one. That's so
And
cute.
this little 5-pound baby.
I'm like, why did I not do this when my son was brand new born? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, newborn photography is kind of more of a recent thing.
I know.
But I love it. I
It
absolutely
is
love
so
it.
cute. And I just love this. So I actually have a few friends that are expecting babies. I'll have to send them this video and show them some of your work and see if we can get you some business that way.
It's fun because like a lot of times when people take pictures of their babies, it's hard to get good angles.
Uh-huh.
And then babies kind of tend to scrunch up or do weird things. And it's an art to know how to pose a baby and get them calm.
It's better when they're sleeping, huh?
Yes. Oh, yes. So I usually do it within the first 2 weeks. So most people book with me in their second to third trimester.
Oh.
Just so I'm not booked up when
Yeah.
they have their appointment.
I just love the little baby feet. Oh my goodness.
And then we book a session, and babies come whenever they want to come. So
Yeah, they do.
I have to move around the sessions all the time. It's not a big deal, but as long as they have an appointment with me, then I can get them in my schedule.
And so you like to do it in the first 2 weeks because it's typically easier to have a baby calmer and easier to sleep in the first 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yes, babies are usually calmer in that time range, and they sleep better. So the older they get, the more awake they're going to be and moving around and wanting to see things and noticing different smells, especially like being in a studio they've never been in before.
Yeah.
They're going to be more awake.
Right. So you do have a brick and mortar studio.
Yes.
Okay. Where's that at?
I'm in Duluth,
Okay.
right near Sugarloaf Mills.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and I hope that you enjoyed being on Burn the Ship today. And I look forward to learning even more about your photography business and hopefully referring you out and getting you some more business that way.
It's been fun. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.